Now we have a GDP per capita, of about 3,500. Our aim for 2030 is to move it to 4,500. Zimbabwe is the largest, for the past 10 years, we have built the largest steel industry in sub-Saharan Africa. We have done it, and it's working. And we are working with South Africa, for example. You would know that in the platinum group of minerals, most of it is being processed in South Africa. About 70% of the throughput that you see in the South African chain is coming from Zimbabwe. It's a fact. So when I say it's not about Zimbabwe versus another country, it's not like, that's why Zimbabwe you will not find a Zimbabwean standing and abusing South Africa. We will not do that. And don't expect Zimbabwe to be making any statement abusing South Africa. It's not because we are afraid.
And you make it clear.
It's because we have.
Minister, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Your speech quite strong.
Thank you.
Calling for unity at a time where generally around the globe countries are drifting apart, but not only around the globe, a bigger picture. In the region, migration has become a thorny issue.
I want to first start by saying that we are at a place that is named after Albert Luthuli. Albert Luthuli, by birth, is a Zimbabwean, but he's a South African. So he's a South African, he's a Zimbabwean. It is symbolic. We are one. Migration is not a problem at all. It is whether we are talking about how it is being done. People visit each other. Regional integration, like SADC, is a community. What community means is that we must have a common future. And a common future is a future of prosperity, of social cohesion, not upheaval. Yes, we can have problems here and there. Problems are there to be solved. But problems are not to be dwelt upon as if we have to sing praises for problems. Problems are solved, that's why governments are there, that's why people are there. Southern Africa is known for solidarity. We will be able to face problems, many of them. But we should not forget that we should triumph over them all the time. So the issue, basically, when we say it's not a problem, it's a challenge to the people of Southern Africa to say, what kind of future do we want? But we're not saying, even when a car is moving, there's friction between the rod and the tire. But the most important thing is movement. So that's why when we are talking about the region, we know there are several temptations that are caused by so many things, including poverty. But poverty is the one that we are trying to fight. And when we fight it, it cannot be you versus me. It has to be us versus poverty. So it's very profound, and for us it's a very emotional thing, because during the liberation struggle, we were fighting together. But it doesn't mean we were agreeing all the time. But generally, we agreed to fight a common problem of apartheid, racism, and so forth, and we triumphed. Therefore, we will be able to find each other every time. We'll be able to do well.
South Africa is saying, let's discuss this in a comprehensive manner. The pull and the push factors. And often, whether it's true or false, depending where you come from, many people will always cite an example of Zimbabweans in South Africa saying it's because of unhappiness that they are here. How do you deal with issue of being honest and frank about the reasons, but with the aim of resolving, not of blackmailing?
Sophie, it's about narratives. I've just started by saying Chief Albert Lutuli was born in Zimbabwe. Is that a problem? I don't think that's a problem. Victoria Chitepo is Xhosa, but is on the Zimbabwe Eros Acre. Is that a problem? It's not a problem. Ruth Chinamano was born in Eastern Cape. Is on the Zimbabwe Eros Acre. Is that a problem? I don't think it's a problem. If there are problems that are particular, they can always be talked about. It's not South Africa versus the other. It's us together as a region. As a people, what do we want? That's when we talk about we have a common future. This subject is deep because it's deep. It's not to be tackled superficially. Yeah? Because there is no day that South Africa is going to separate from Zimbabwe. There is no day that Zimbabwe is going to separate from South Africa. We are together. You and me will die, but we will leave people here. And whatever we do, we have to know that our future is not only entangled by geography, it's entangled by blood. And when I say by blood, what's the difference between you and me? I don't see it. So the issue basically is that we are here, Southern Africa is here, Zimbabwe is always to the north, South Africa is always to the south. And the Bide Bridge is there. The Limpopo River is not a border. The Limpopo River is what unites us with Mapungubwe on the other side and Great Zimbabwe on the other side. So the way we have to look at it, it cannot be a textbook push-pull. No, it's about how do we prosper together? How do we create environments that can make South Africans prosper, that can make Zimbabweans prosper, that can make Tswanas prosper, that can make everybody prosper. So, but once it's reduced to a finger pointing, you'll never find a solution because people then go into defensive positions. So Zimbabwe, for example, is not taking any offensive or defensive position. Our position is that we have to tackle poverty across the region. Across the region. Not as you versus me. No. As us versus poverty. So I think the whole debate...
But how do we ensure that we have a leadership in this region that understands that it cannot be business as usual? They have to work hard to develop their own countries, working together, of course. The issue of leadership.
This region has never done business as usual. This region has always confronted its problems. But knowing, whenever we are confronting our problems, we know that we cannot get rid of each other. There is no way, Sophie, there is no wishful thinking that I would say South Africans in Zimbabwe must go home. There is no way. We are talking about, when we are talking about our people, I'm talking our legalities must always be respected. But you and me, no matter how much you wish, we are together. And we will be together. Even if you are visited by a thought that will be separated, I think just go to Mahlozi and pray, because nothing like that is going to happen. We are going to be together and we are going to solve. Right now, South Africa is the chairperson of SADC. What does that mean? President Ramaphosa is a leader of 400 million people
in the region
that have to map a future together. Today we are in a council of ministers. Our chairperson is Ronald Lamola, who is our chairperson of 400 million people. So our context always, we cannot frame it like in a mathematical book. We are united by spirit, we are united by blood, we are united by soil, and we are confronted with very complex situations. But we must be able to face them nicely. That's why you find out that us in Zimbabwe, did you hear us talk? No. Because it's not helpful. We are not going...
Some might say Zimbabwe is not talking because it's not on the receiving end.
No, nobody is on a receiving end or offensive. Nobody is attacking anybody. We are attacking poverty. We are attacking a problem. As I said, and I wanted to frame it very nicely, you cannot separate Zimbabwe from South Africa. It's impossible. It's wishful as we speak. And you know very well that about, when we talk about migration and so forth and so on, do you know that every language in South Africa is an official language in Zimbabwe by constitution? For example, right? I'm here in KwaZulu-Natal. Chief Albert Lutuli was born in Zimbabwe. Almost 30% of people in Zimbabwe speak Zulu, for example. Isn't
and
it?
You have a
almost
Xhosa community.
Yes, as a constitution, in the constitution, Xhosa, Sotho, Tswana, Shangani, Venda, I say it is Sindebele, Kalanga, and so forth, are all in Zimbabwe's constitution. So it's very important for people of the region to open up the minds and learn that if we have a certain problem, let's say we have an employment problem, let's tackle the employment problem. Let's not talk about ethnicities. It's not necessary. Let's not talk about nationalities. If there is criminality, let's talk about criminality. Criminality has no nationality. You take a criminal and they are taken to due process. But don't say Zimbabweans, Tswana, this. We must learn that when we are tackling a problem, we are not tackling a nationality. We are tackling a criminal. If it's a criminal, it's just. But once we start labeling and so forth, you're an experienced person and you know what I'm talking about very deeply. That kind of thinking, it results in consequences that we might not be able to contain. That's why, for example, when Zimbabwe is quiet, we know very well that we in South Africa, no matter how people wish, we cannot be separated.
Minister, the other issue is that people are saying, perhaps this is the right moment to respond to some of these criticism, because it's difficult at times to have access to the Zimbabwe leadership as it's happening now, that if leaders don't address issues of corruption but also abuse of country resources, we are not going to resolve the issue of poverty, unemployment in the region. Yeah,
you know what? Us as Africans, including yourselves, for over 600 years, we've been given names. You're like this, you're like that. We don't want to be in that school of thought. And even corruption is not Zulu, it's not Tswana. Corruption is English. You hear what we're talking about? It's English, which means there's something like that there. So there is nothing African about it. When we are talking about trying to govern ourselves, do better for our people and so forth, I would talk to Zimbabwe, for example. We had inflation which was above 100 for many years. We worked very hard. Now you find out our inflation is less than 3%. You can see effort. We had a GDP as a lower middle income economy country of about 1,200 in 2017. Right now we have a GDP per capita, of about 3,500. Our aim for 2030 is to move it to 4,500. Zimbabwe is the largest, for the past 10 years, we have built the largest steel industry in sub-Saharan Africa. We have done it, and it's working. And we are working with South Africa, for example. You would know that in the platinum group of minerals, most of it is being processed in South Africa. About 70% of the throughput that you see in the South African chain is coming from Zimbabwe. It's a fact. So when I say it's not about Zimbabwe versus another country, it's not like, that's why Zimbabwe you will not find a Zimbabwean standing and abusing South Africa. We will not do that. And don't expect Zimbabwe to be making any statement abusing South Africa. It's not because we are afraid.
And you make it clear
it's because we have values. We have values of Ubuntu. we are not WE wrestlers. We are people of this region. And we will face many problems. This is not the first problem that we'll face. We'll face many, but we will triumph because we will use our minds more than our emotions. It is very important that the government of Zimbabwe is taken in the correct context. President Mnangagwa and President Ramaphosa work very well together. They taught us how to work well together, not to do shouting matches at each other. We do shouting matches at poverty and the problem. And even when we are doing the repatriation program, you must know that we work very well with the South African government. Nicely and so forth. It is unlike what people were expecting. A spate of diplomatic outbursts and so forth. I'm sorry, there's nothing which is going to come like that from Zimbabwe and between Zimbabwe and South Africa. Next week we are going to have our BNC. Yes, we can have people complaining here and there. It's part of the democratic dispensation. People can always complain. People can always try to scapegoat Zimbabwe, but scapegoating, we cannot do it at this level.
Minister, finally, it's not related to SADC.
Yes.
We have some Zimbabweans who are in the country since the troubled days of President Mnangagwa leaving office. I know you are not perhaps a leader of ZANU-PF or so, but are you intending to reach out to your fellow compatriots who are outside the country? Perhaps there was a misunderstanding at that time, and maybe some of them would still want to go back. You spoke about where Zimbabwe is right now. And from where I'm sitting, I see a real potential that if Zimbabweans can find one another, Zimbabwe can again lead us. The reconciliation and unity.
I hear you, but Zimbabwe has no problems when it comes to that. And even when His Excellency the President, Dr. Idi Mnangagwa talks, he says, Zimbabweans at home and in the diaspora. We don't have, some of these things are perceptions. Right? But perceptions are allowed in a thinking mind. Everybody is free to be in Zimbabwe if they want to come to Zimbabwe. All Zimbabweans can come home if they want to. But other people, if they want to be living in Australia, they are also free to do so. You know, when people are in South Africa, I can come to South Africa is my, let me just be very explicit and again reinforce my point. South Africa is my home. What do you say about that? South Africa is my home. What do you, is there a problem? Zimbabwe is your home. Is there a problem? Right? At some point, we had a visit by King Misuzulu in a courtesy call on the president.
Now recently.
Recently. It's his home. Zimbabwe, it's his home. That's how we take South Africans. You can come in your thousands. It's okay. We don't have any. That's the level of maturity that we have to attain. That's exactly what we are discussing in SADC. So Zimbabweans at home and in the diaspora are free. Because in South Africa, there are so many Zimbabweans. But we cannot talk about recent. Even my great-grandfather in 1895 was here. It came home. It's not new. We cannot be given subjects by outsiders and start grinding each other like that. It cannot. And I think you can see that the spirit with which I'm talking is not the spirit of sparring. It's a spirit of a united people, Ubuntu, the children of Tobela, talking to each other, the spirits talking to each other. We can use so many words and we can have and listen to so many voices from the wilderness. But we are here, Sophie. together. You and me as brother and sister, if we have a problem, we will solve it. But no scapegoating. It has nothing to do with the leadership. It has something to do with us as a region, together leading. In actual fact, President Mnangagwa uses a principle which he calls ubiquitous leadership. Everybody is a leader. We are not in a situation whereby there are some people who tell people what to do and they dance and so forth and so on. They sit down, they sit. No, leadership is in everybody. Ubiquitous leadership, which means when I talk, I must have responsibility over my actions, what will happen. That's why when we had, for example, an interview at Skukuza, I was misunderstood. When I say, no, please, don't talk about migration. The crisis is how we tackle our problems in such a way that it doesn't have a negative effect on South Africa. It doesn't have a negative effect on Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe will not participate in the destruction of South Africa. Zimbabwe will never participate in the dehumanization of South Africa. Zimbabwe also expects the same. So this is the spirit that we have, and that's why you find out that you never found public statements which will say, and this. We will tackle them in a way that wants to find a solution, not that wants to destroy this region and the unity between Zimbabwe and South Africa. We are a united people. Somebody said, oh, you know, you Zimbabweans, you talk a lot about liberation and so forth and so on, and use it as an excuse. We say, no, if South Africa was in trouble today, we'll do it again, but we don't expect a thank you. It's a matter of principle. If South Africa was going to be in trouble in 50 years' time from now, we'll do what we did again.
But South Africa was in trouble with Israel, taking Israel to ICC. The continent was mum.
No, nobody was mum. Nobody was mum. You must understand. Also, I mean, if I may use this language, Sophie. Nobody condemned. Which African country condemned South Africa? Any. So what's the problem? So the issue which we are talking about, anyway, I like, this is my first time to have an interview with you. Let's be deep and let's love our soil. Let's love our people.
And we must
let's not use narratives that are important. Because we can be given subjects like little bones, no, which are thrown on little dogs and they start running around bones. We are a people. We are strong. We have objectives. We will patiently meet those objectives. Yes, we might be having a bit, I told you about the inflation, how we have controlled it and so forth and so on. It takes patience. Because some people said Zimbabwe is finished. Zimbabwe never had a civil war amongst itself. We were facing our problems right on. With sanctions, we were facing those problems. We were working, but we were working with the region, including South Africa, was supporting Zimbabwe in its anti-sanctions drive. Some people were surprised why South Africa was doing it, but South Africa was doing the right thing. So what we are saying, South Africa should continue doing the right thing. Don't lose the mark. Don't lose focus. So the issue is, let's attack poverty together. We are a people together. There can be people who can differ in our opinion, but the main opinion is that there should be peace in this region. There should be prosperity in this region. And our people should have Ubuntu. We cannot be a region. This is one of the regions in Africa which is quiet. We had our troubles in the early 80s, in the 70s, in the 60s. We were fighting. Yeah? Even if you listen to our liberation songs, if you listen to Mkondo Wesizwe, they say Zipra Mkondo. What does that? Does Zipra mean?
I know.
Zimbabwe People's Revolutionary Army, Zipra Mkondo as one.
They were working together.
We always do. And we should always do.
Finally, Minister, the current constitutional developments in Zim also. Indeed, constitution is not static. It's a living document. You can amend. All countries do that, depending on the needs of the country. What do you say to people who are not in Zimbabwe, who saw this process unfolding and got worried?
This is public information. Zimbabwe did a sovereign act for amending its constitution. And by the way, the constitution now is when it comes to presidential election,
Terms, yes.
is now exactly like what is practiced in South Africa. Exactly the way you elect the president is exactly the way now in the new constitution we are electing the president. So there's no problem. So you see, when sometimes people from a sovereign point of view, Zimbabwe did a sovereign act very peacefully and so forth and so on. And now, you, as my sister in South Africa, if that is a problem, then there's a problem here too. Because it's exactly the same. the way a president is elected. So we mature. And His Excellency President Idi Mnangagwa is always saying, we are maturing in terms of governance. Because what do you want at the end of the day? You want peace, you want harmony, you want to make sure that if you want to change something, you follow the law and you change it. So it's like sometimes people look for trouble where there's none. That's why we are quiet. I mean, Sophie, we are working very hard. You know that Zimbabwe at this moment is wheat self-sufficient. We are already exporting wheat. We were never like that. We're importing 60%, or what I can say, 9 months out of 12, we're importing wheat. We're only producing for 3 months. But now we are producing for about 15 months. So we are on the move. So, and you see that when we went to the United Nations Security Council with the backing of Africa, including South Africa,
Yes.
we had 182 votes out of 190. That's not the sign of an isolated country. So we are happy.
Thank
And you and
Minister.
me, we are together.
I'll come and visit Zimbabwe.
You are
I
welcome.
hope I'll get a visa.
You don't need a visa to come to Zimbabwe. You just cross and come.
Am I not going to be
South
arrested?
Africa. What did you do? What criminal activity
No
did you do?
visa as a journalist?
No. You will. There is SABC in Zimbabwe. Every time, every Tuesday, right now at 4 o'clock, your SABC agent was in the post-cabinet briefing. Zimbabwe is a mature, peaceful, stable country which wants to live together very nicely with its neighbors. We call it our neighborhood first principle. That's why South Africans are free to be in Zimbabwe anytime. Even somebody tried to raise it in parliament. Oh, what about we have so many South Africans? We said, no, as we don't have any policy of having problems with our neighbors. So we are good, you are free, you are welcome. You can start by coming to my office.